Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. It is Snapshot 20w11a, and among many things added and changed in this snapshot, we have a brand new enchantment. It is known as Soul Speed, and it is for use on boots and in the Nether where there is Soul Sand and Soul Soil. Now, Soul Sand can slow you down, Soul Soil doesn't, but what this enchantment will do is make you faster on both of them. So I've just equipped level 3, and each of the levels increase the amount of speed, and now you can see I can whiz around this and even on soul sand as well. A very interesting enchantment. There are also custom particle effects being created as well. Let's try and stand still and catch one. Let's just do that again. It's a really nice particle effect. It's really cool actually. I like it a lot. So that's the gist of it. It makes you go faster on these two blocks. It's also compatible with any type of boot. And it works with unbreaking as well. That will stop the amount of durability that you lose when you run around from going down faster. And that's the catch, by the way. We've been running around a little bit. Even though we're in creative mode, it also counts down your durability as well. So using this to get around faster will diminish the durability of your boots. So I had to come to the overworld and do a quick check. This just works on these blocks, regardless of dimension, it would seem. And the blog post also says it can only be obtained by bartering with piglins. So I'm guessing this means you can't get it through enchanting, or through fishing, or perhaps through finding enchanted books in dungeon chests. So I've had a look into the bartering loot tables, and there are two ways in which you can get this enchantment. With a weight of 5, you have a chance to get iron boots with the enchantment on it. And this doesn't specify what level it is, so I think it's random. Same thing goes for the enchanted book, which you have a weight of 1. That's your chance for getting it. So very slim chance of getting the enchanted book. They've also added iron nuggets with a weight of 20 and a count of 8 to 16. And soul sand is back in there at a weight of 40 with a count of 4 to 16. And also from bartering, shroom lights, warped nylium, and warped fungus have been removed. Now what you're about to see next is also behind me, but it's very cool. Wow, this is twisted vines. They grow upwards, and they're like a counterpart to the weeping vines, and so they're found in the opposite biome, which is of course the warped forest, the other one being the crimson forest, the red one, right? And you know what you can do with this, right? You can go upwards. Oh, it's so cool. I like it. This is such a really great feature. I mean, okay, maybe not as a feature, it's that useful, but it just looks awesome. The fact that you can climb upwards on it, I think is great. Now, there is also a sound added for the twisted vine for when you're climbing it. Don't know if you can hear that. It's very soft and subtle, but there is a sound there. Oh, and just to confirm, they did actually add one for the twisted vines as well. So the two of these don't quite harvest like kelp. You do get some drops, but not one for every single part of the block. This is also going to be compatible with bone meal now as well, so you can use bone meal and... Whoa, that actually grew a lot. Grows quite a bit each time. Looks like the length might be random as well. Huh, kind of expected it to go up by 1 block, which is what it does with kelp, because bone meal now works with kelp. Okay, I swear a moment ago it was growing by like 1 piece at a time, and that time it went all the way up there. Is that a little bit overpowered? Aha, of course I immediately thought of doing this, right? A couple of observers, a stack of bone meal, and you're going to produce a silly amount of kelp. Yeah, I think that might be a bit overpowered, but there you go. Last snapshot we saw some changes to the hoe, and in the last video I went over those changes in detail, and now I'm here to tell you that it's been confirmed these are the blocks that the hoe is going to work with by default. So hay bales, target blocks, dried kelp, shroom light, the warped nether blocks, and your regular nether warp blocks. And since I mentioned the target block, you can also do this with your wings and a rocket. You saw it light up, okay? One more time then. That's amazing. So if you fly into this while your rocket is boosted, it counts as a projectile, and then it'll actually give a redstone signal out. I also learned that the target block is flammable. Yep, there you go. One just got destroyed, and that one. And while we're talking about fire, it now actually has its own hitbox. It's a very minor change, but you can see it just down there at the bottom. It now has a hitbox, so I can click through like this and not actually hit it. You've got to hit that small hitbox at the bottom. Fire also now has its own loot table. Oh, diamonds from fire. I like it. Now let's talk about it, because you've probably seen it lingering around in the background. We now have Nether Gold Ore, and there's a couple of spots in it in this area. And it kind of looks, just by observing, about as frequent as quartz. Quartz is probably a little bit more common. In fact, now I'm seeing quartz everywhere. But yeah, you don't have to explore too far in the Nether to find this Nether Gold Ore. So you can only mine this stuff with iron, diamond, and netherite. The other tools will simply just break the block. And it simply drops itself, just like regular gold ore in the overworld. So Silk Touch and Fortune don't really mean anything, unless that's a placeholder, but my suspicion is that you're going to be able to smelt this. Okay, nothing special going on here. It's just like regular gold ore in the overworld, 1-for-1 with the ingot. Now, what I don't have the means to do is look into the game code and figure out how frequently this stuff spawns, so I've just been using my own observations here, and a couple of things of note. These spawn in smaller patches than quartz, and they don't catch your eye quite as much as the quartz as well, which tends to make it feel like you're not actually getting as much generating in the world, but I would say it probably generates at about half the amount of quartz, and I've seen it at all sorts of different heights. So from bottom of the world up to the top, it seems to be able to generate anywhere. And by the way, the texture here is subject to change. You can see Jasper says that the nether gold texture is bad. I have a new version that's better, and I'd agree actually. I think that one catches your eye a little bit more. The other one was kind of dark. Oh, I've noticed that items have been sorted correctly inside of the creative menu. For example, Nether Gold Ore, the newest block, appears here instead of all the way at the bottom of the list. And this is most noticeable for tools, where you can see the netherite ones are now included, and the same for armor and weapons. Now, the Crying Obsidian block didn't get any new features this snapshot, but it did get some changes. You can no longer move it with a piston, and you can no longer mine it with any old type of tool. You need diamond or better to mine this block. It also can't be destroyed by the end dragon in the end dimension, and here is a little Easter egg feature. If you select the programmer art, which is all the way over here, this brings in the old textures of the game, and as you can see, it has the very original texture of Crying Obsidian. So this was something I think was maybe in the game for a brief moment, or was speculated to be added, and this is the original texture of this block. So you can now access it using that resource pack, which is built into the game by default. Here's an interesting change to the bell. It's now going to ring when it's hit by any form of projectile. So you can see a splash potion will set it off, so will a snowball, a trident, and I'm gonna guess the player flying into it with a boosted rocket will probably set it off as well. And a similar change that's been added involves campfires and TNT and projectiles that are on fire. You can't actually set the snowball on fire, I noticed, but if I throw a trident through this lava, it will get caught on fire, and then it can actually light up the campfire, and the same can be done with the TNT. Yes, there we go. For the next part of this video, I'm going to show you some changes to redstone, and that is always a sensitive thing to say, and I think Mojang are very aware of this, because on their post it says, before we dive into this snapshot, a word about redstone. And I'm not going to read every word here, but they make it very clear they understand how sensitive changes to redstone are because of all the contraptions that evolve around them. And I think the general point of this is they're going to be communicating better and listening as well. So let's not get alarmist about the idea of changes to redstone. It looks like they want to handle this in the best way they can. And what I see is now that the redstone changes are being elevated from obscure posts down here in the bug fixes, and they're being communicated better through the changes section. As you can see here, this one relates to redstone. So we now know that these changes will be fully intentional. A full snow block made out of snow layers, the soul sand and soul soil, will now support redstone being on top of it, as well as pressure plates, buttons, rails and doors. This is an intentional change and it has been well communicated. And another change related to redstone is that minecarts moving on a rail with soul sand directly below won't get slowed down, and that is an intentional change. Now, before we move on to the bug fixes of this snapshot, there's something rather important that I missed from the last one, and that is the ability of the smithing table, which still hasn't got a GUI, to keep enchantments when upgrading. And if you have some crazy cheaty enchantments from before, it has no bias. When you're using the smithing table, you'll keep all of the enchantments on your diamond tools when upgrading to netherite. Now this bug fix is something that I could have done with many years ago. I remember trying to make mini games using these fireballs being summoned in and then being able to hit them at a target. And if you summoned one in like this, it wouldn't actually be hittable. It would just sort of sit there forever blinking. And now this actually works. So if you're a mini game maker, that's a mechanic you can take advantage of. If you summon in a zombie that has the no AI tag, it will not convert into a drowned if it's underwater. There was an issue with comparators that would mean they would pull the signal from this. When there is a container behind the block, it's not supposed to pull the signal from there. When there isn't, it can do. And that's been fixed. Now there are a lot of bug fixes when it comes to hoglins and piglins in this update, so I picked out what I thought were the most relevant ones. And if you had an aggressive hoglin or piglin and it was attacking you, it wouldn't actually sort of look directly at you. So that's a minor change that they've taken care of. The other one is when these piglins convert into zombified piglins, they would actually lose all of their armor. And as you can see, this guy now keeps his helmet because that bug's been fixed. Now forgive me if I'm misremembering something here, but a piglin that is admiring gold wouldn't drop the gold ingot on death. So when I kill this one, you can see it now drops the gold ingot. I think this is a mistake related to bartering. So if it's bartered with you, it then wouldn't drop the gold ingot, but I'm not entirely sure. Also, it's rather cruel, but killing baby hoglins now yields experience where it didn't do before. You know, maybe baby mobs shouldn't ever drop experience, you know. We shouldn't have an incentive to kill them, right? And last of all, you might know that hoglins are scared of warped fungus, but they weren't scared of them when they were in flower pots, so now they've been updated to detect that and then run away from it. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of this snapshot video. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it, and if you're not aware of Season 7 of Hermitcraft having kicked off, then you should definitely go and check out the video that will be linked on your screen, the first episode of that series. But anyway, that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon with another one. Bye-bye.